the Turkish invaders, two major invaders that we would understand today, and those are Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. How the things changed when there was a Turkish invasion to India, and what was in their mind, why they were so successful as an invader in country like India. So let's talk about a basic overview, but before we begin, let's focus on what we have done in our previous lecture, where we have talked about how Arab civilization was overtaken by the Umayyads and the Abbasids, and after that we had the Turkish invasion that was witnessed. Under the Turkish invasion, as we said, two important rulers. To just a quick summary about Mahmud Ghazni, his idea was to make Ghazni in Central Asia a wealthy region, and his invasions were only and only targeted to beautify Ghazni back in Central Asia, and there was no plan to actually establish an empire in India. The idea was only raiding and looting the country. So there were constant invasions that were seen in the regions of Punjab, in the regions of Multan, Kannauj, Delhi, Gujarat, and so on. There were more than 17 invasions that took place, and as we said, his sole power was his cavalry, that is the horsepower during that time. We'll understand about Mahmud Ghazni in a while back. Talking about another great invader, and he was Muhammad Ghori. He founded the Muslim rule in India, and he actually fought in with five major Rajput powers, and those were the Chandelas, the Solankis, Parmars, Chauhans, and Rathors. Each of these were very powerful in their local region, and Muhammad Ghori actually had to fight two important battles with Prithviraj Chauhan. Those were the Battle of Terrain. The most interesting thing I would say about the Battle of Terrain is the two battles of Terrain were fought. One was where Prithviraj Chauhan won the battle, and the other was where Ghori won the battle. We'll understand that in a while towards the end of this section. And finally, he lost his life when he was trying to suppress a revolt which was from the Kokars, and that was in around 1206 AD. So that was about Muhammad Ghori. As we said, Turkish invaders were very successful. So what was the actual reason behind their success is furthermore interesting to understand. During that time, India was ruled mainly by the Rajput power, and these Rajputs were broken into smaller units, and they were jealous among themselves. They were not standing in unity. So that was one of the major drawbacks, and moreover, the number of the soldiers that Rajputs had were much more than the Turkish invaders, but the only negative side we would say was that the cavalry that Turkish invaders had was very strong. They were excellent horsemen. So it was very difficult to match the power of the cavalry that the Turkish invaders had brought to India. Also, there was no army that Rajputs maintained for their own, and it was mainly the feudal lords on whom they were dependent on for the armies. Now, these were some of the reasons that actually led to the real success of Turkish invaders in India. Now, when it comes to the raids, as we said, Muhammad Ghazni was totally the Mahmud of Ghazni was totally interested in looting and raiding parts of India, and the idea was to take back the wealth to Ghazni, to beautify the palaces, the museums, to just adorn the jewels in the palaces, and so on and so forth. So all these invasions were targeted with a single motive, and that was raiding the wealth as much as possible. But this brought about a significant change in the way of life that the people in India witnessed. The most important thing was a merger of the cultures. So there was an emergence of a new form, a composite form, we could say, of art, architecture, literature, music, dances, food patterns, and so on, and also a kind of amalgamation of various cultures and people were seen during this time. So definitely there was a rapid change that was brought. If we talk about the Arab invasions, we have seen Muhammad bin Qasim, who belonged to the Umayyad dynasty. He conquered the regions of North India, and those were during that time the Indian subcontinent, the region of Sindh and Punjab. So he started to conquer the region of Sindh and Punjab. Now, as soon as the power was established in the regions of Sindh and Punjab, there was close contact that was established for the purpose of trading, for the purpose of business, and moreover a kind of political unity along with religious unity was seen in this region. And this was one of the reasons why the Turkish invaders later on became much more successful. So there were a kind of repeated threats that were seen from the northwest, and all of these threats that were seen from the northwest were targeted by the Turkish invaders that were there. As we said, the Rajputs were very powerful in North India, and the Rajput resistance was very high during the Arab invasions. But the same decline during the Turkish invasion, the reason was the cavalry that Turks had brought along with them. So there was a significant change in the pattern of invasion that was seen. Till the invasion of the Umayyad dynasty, the power was confined to the regions of Sindh and Punjab. However, with the Turkish invasion, the armies could further move into the regions and the territories of India. So when we talk about Mahmud Ghazni, who was the ruler of Ghazni in Central Asia, his idea was raiding the part, taking the wealth back to Ghazni, and he was believed to be the first Turkish invader who attacked India from the northwest side. His main advantage was his army, the well-equipped army he had, the well-equipped cavalry, as we said, and the two most powerful kingdoms that existed during that time, those were the empire of Ghazni and Gaur. So Gaur was the region from where you had Muhammad Ghori that finally came in. So the name Ghori comes from the region of Gaur. So there was a province of Ghazni and Gaur that was witnessed, and both of these were some of the major powers of Central Asia during that time, and Turks had established these regions as a significant section in their development. When they were attacking, they had two major fights. One was with Jaipal, and he defeated Jaipal in Punjab, and then later on, Anandpal, who was the son of Jaipal, was also defeated by Mahmud of Ghazni. So as you could see, the region of Ghazni, then you had the region of Gaur that was there, and these two regions were further taken. So you had the regions that were attacked were mainly the region of Somnath, the region of Thaneshwar, which is the present Thanesar in the region of Haryana. In the region of Nepal, the present day Nepal, we have Nagarkot that was attacked by Mahmud of Ghazni. Then the regions of Mathura, Gwalior. In the Rajasthan, you had the regions of Alwar that were affected. Multan was invaded. You had the regions of Lahore that were invaded. So those were the regions that were invaded, and the Somnath temple was one of the temples where most of the wealth was taken from the Somnath region and the Somnath temple. So the green region, as you could see, signifies the original territory of Mahmud of Ghazni, and the areas which were overrun by Mahmud Ghazni have been signified in the yellow region that you can see in the diagram here. So during his time from 1001 to 1025, in a span of merely 25 years, he invaded India 17 times, carried out a series of invasions in the regions that we had mentioned and looted most of the wealth from this region. Now, Mahmud of Ghazni had a numerous lifespan that we could see, which was witnessed with only victories, and there was no defeat that Mahmud of Ghazni had witnessed in his life. Al-Biruni, a scholar, had spent nearly 10 years in India, and during his time he wrote the work which was known as Kitabul Hind. Similarly, one of the major poets of Mahmud Ghazni's court was Firdosai. Firdosai wrote the work Shahnama, which talks about the invasions of Mahmud Ghazni and how the wealth was taken from India back to the country. So he explained the raids and the plunders that were done in India, and his idea was never to establish a permanent empire. It was only raiding and plundering India. So those were the major works that we have witnessed, and the Al-Biruni's work, which is the Kitabul Hind, is considered as one of the most informative sources for most of the historians who are trying to understand about the Arab and the Turkish invasion during that time and how the raids actually took place. The next scholar that the next person from the Turkish invasion that we would talk about is Muhammad Ghori. Now, Muhammad Ghori actually had 5 important powers with whom he had his fights, and those were the Chauhans of Delhi, the Rathors of Kannauj. In the Bundelkhand there were Chandelas. From the Malwa region, the Parmars, and finally from the Gujarat, there were Solankis, and the whole empire, which was established by Ghazni, was later on taken into account by Muhammad Ghori, and the region of Gaur, as we said, from where Muhammad Ghori actually started his invasions, nearly 150 years after Mahmud of Ghazni, the invasions of Muhammad Ghori started, and at that time, these 5 Rajput kingdoms were there in power, and the most important attack that was seen was on the Solankis of Gujarat, who were defeated badly during the invasion of Muhammad Ghori. Now, during this time, we have seen that there were 2 important battles that were witnessed between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori, and it is believed that Prithviraj Chauhan was one of the major powers in India during that time. The epic poet of the court of Prithviraj Chauhan and one of his best friends was Chandrabardai, and it is believed that after the second battle of Terain, however, there are numerous stories about the real thing that had happened after the second battle of Terain between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Ghori, but what has been quoted by Chandrabardai is nothing but very, we could say, interesting in the fact that Prithviraj Chauhan was actually blinded and taken to the region of Gaur, and there when Chandrabardai came to know about it, who was one of the close friends of Prithviraj Chauhan, simply moved to the region of Gaur and told Muhammad Ghori a very interesting fact, and that fact was merely unbelievable by Muhammad Ghori. The fact was, Prithviraj Chauhan is such a great king that he can simply have a target, simply hit a target by hearing the sound. Now, this was something that was totally unbelievable for Muhammad Ghori. So, Muhammad Ghori said that, okay, I would be there and you would be asked to shoot me. So, Chandrabardai played a simple trick. He said a very interesting phrase which was only understood by Prithviraj Chauhan and Chandrabardai in the region of Gaur, and that was Char Bans 24 Gas Angul Asht Praman Ta Upar Sultan Hai Mat Chuko Chauhan. So that was an indication that there is just 4 measures and 24 yards where Ghori is seated, and Chauhan, you must not miss the target, and that was the indication that led to an exact target from Prithviraj Chauhan, which hit the throat of Muhammad Ghori. Knowing this, immediately Prithviraj Chauhan and Chandrabardai killed themselves because they were in the region of Gaur during that time. So that is one of the major stories which was explained in the couplet of Chandrabardai himself about the victory and the kind of trick that they had played with Muhammad Gauri. Now, if we talk about the battles that had played in, there were two important battles of Tehran, and this Tehran is located in the region of Haryana. The two important battles were in the consecutive years. The first battle in 1191 and the next in 1192. In the first battle, which was between Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad Gauri, Prithviraj Chauhan actually won the battle. However, there was another scenario which was there in the region of Kannauj. Now in the Kannauj, Jaichand was one of the major powerful leaders, and Jaichand was not ready to unite with Prithviraj Chauhan against Muhammad Gauri during that time. However, later on Muhammad Gauri defeated Jaichand, and the whole the Ganga Yamuna Doab region was actually taken into power by Muhammad Gauri, and as a result the Turkish rule expanded over that region. However, in the second battle of Tehran that took place in 1192, what happened was Muhammad Gauri's the army of Muhammad Gauri could actually surpass the army of Prithviraj Chauhan, and thereafter we had the whole story that was explained by Chandrabardai in his words about how they played a trick when they were taken into captivity to the region of Gaur, closer to Ghazni in Central Asia. So that was about how the Turkish invasions actually affected the India. Their sole motive was not to have the sole motive of Mahmud of Ghazni was not to have an empire being established, but to take the wealth back from India to the region of Ghazni and beautify Ghazni. The museums, the palaces in Ghazni should be adorned with all kinds of jewels and the kind of wealth that was taken from India. So that was about the Turkish invasion. We would be talking about many more lectures in history, further more interesting. Stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.